coming to class with an open mind and just an ability and an eagerness to build networks and learn is really all that's necessary.
Welcome to another episode of the Intersection Podcast, brought to you by the Georgia Tech Scheller College of Business. I'm your host, Analisa Wade. I'm a second-year full-time MBA student here, and I'm really excited to talk about today's episode. It's something that's very special to me. We're going to talk about Tiger and the new OTL program. We have three guests here. One, Dr. Giuliano, who's the director of the Tiger program. Pascaline Ezouah, she's a student who's participated in both Tiger and OTL, which is a very unique experience. And Dr. Joseph, who's the founder of the OTL program. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for
Analisa.
being here. I'm very excited about today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so maybe we can just start and everyone can give a quick overview of maybe your experience here at Scheller, how long you've been here, and what really made you say yes to Georgia Tech. Start with you, Dr. Giuliano.
Okay, thank you. So I'm a professor of the practice in the strategy and innovation area, and as you said, I'm the executive director of the Tiger program also. I've been teaching here at Georgia Tech since the summer of 2010, and I've been executive director of the Tiger program for the past 5 years. And it's a lot of fun because I get to work with students like you and Pascaline, and Paul Joseph is an alumnus. So this is why I do what I do.
Wow, that's really full circle. I love to hear that. Can't wait to learn more. Pascaline, what about you?
Yeah, I currently work in public health at the CDC. But honestly, I think for me, my background in business really started when I was 15. My family started a business, and I was responsible for a lot of the operational aspects of it. And I was just doing it because, nobody else could. And so pivoting to public health, I at some point realized that I wanted to go into entrepreneurship. And so, of course, looking at MBA programs, I think Tiger really stood out to me. There was no other program like Tiger or any other schools that I was considering. And so it was one of the reasons why I chose Georgia Tech, in addition to just the support that I received from the faculty as well as other students while I was, asking questions like, hey, how are you as somebody with a Master's of Public Health leveraging your MBA? And people were always very receptive and wanted to support. So all those things tied together led me to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Is there something specific about the Tiger program when you were looking at Georgia Tech that stood out the most?
Yeah, I think for me, being that most of my experience is in healthcare or public health, I was really looking for an opportunity to move out of that and to try something new. And so with Tiger, the ability to work with a multidisciplinary group to come up with an idea and to potentially do an internship with a startup, all those things would give me skills and opportunities to have a more broad portfolio so that no matter what I want to do next, I can easily pivot into, whatever feels right at the time.
That's great. And doing OTL and Tiger, I'm sure that has helped with the broad portfolio.
I've been challenging myself, yes.
Yes, thank you. And Dr. Joseph, what's your story?
I started at Tech as a research faculty about 25 years ago. So when I joined, I was a researcher. I'm a chemist by training. And then I was involved in developing polymers for microelectronic applications that resulted in 10 plus patents, and also it was licensed by one of the top-notch corporates. And so I've been a researcher myself, and then I was also a director for the external user program. Georgia Tech Institute for Matter and Systems has a very large core facility. And one of the best things about that core facility is that external users may be able to access it. So I was supporting external users coming to Georgia Tech to access the facility, both from academia as well as industry. So I was a director for that program. Which means I was a research enabler. And I was very intrigued by, and also very interested to see how research could be commercialized. And so I joined Tiger, I think about 5 years ago. I enrolled myself as an Evening MBA student, but one of the main goals is to pursue Tiger program that is directed by Jonathan Giuliano. And in fact, he introduced me to the Tiger program when I was casually meeting him in one of the coffee shops, I think. And then finally, my goal was to support Georgia Tech commercialization landscape. So I kind of landed in the Office of Commercialization as a principal in Quadrant I. So that was my brief story.
Yeah, no, I really like that. So you've been here and you've seen different facets of
Right.
Georgia Tech, it seems like, different schools as well.
Yes.
And I love that. So you did the MBA specifically to get access to Tiger.
Right. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I was, basically a researcher and then a research enabler, and then now support research commercialization. So it's a different facets of Georgia Tech, academic mission.
That's great. And before we just dive deep into all things Tiger and OTL, let's just level set. And can you both explain, maybe Dr. Giuliano, you explain what Tiger is, and then you can explain what OTL is. Let's start with Tiger.
Tiger is a business program focused on technology innovation. So the acronym Tiger, TIGER, really explains exactly what we do. The TI is for technology innovation, and then there's a colon, and the GER stands for generating economic results. That's the business. So what Tiger does is equip Ph.D. and MBA students at Georgia Tech for the business of technology innovation. The MBA students, of course, come from Scheller College, and the Ph.D. students come from the colleges of engineering, computing, and sciences.
Okay. And how do you source the students? So MBA, that seems a little bit more straightforward. Everyone joined the MBA program here, at least because we wanted to do Tiger. But how do you source the PhD students?
So we just make them aware of the program. And over the years, we've built lots of relationships with faculty in the colleges of engineering, computing, and sciences. They're aware of the program. I will add that for PhD students in those colleges, Tiger is a minor. It's an approved minor for them. So if they want to check the box of a minor and they have an interest in the business of technology innovation, Tiger is a perfect fit for them. For MBA students, Tiger is not a minor, but it is a STEM concentration. So students who come into Tiger have the option of getting a concentration in Tiger as a STEM concentration in technology innovation, strategy, and innovation.
And then one more thing before we jump into OTL. Have you seen a balance over the years, like equal MBA students and PhD students, or is it more heavily leaned towards one program?
So in recent years, the interest from PhD students has been increasing. But we always have lots of interest from MBA students. The incoming cohort starting in January 2025 is 68 students. It is mostly MBAs, but really just by a few. So we have lots of PhD students who are coming into the program.
That's great. Now, what about OTL? Where does it stand, and what is it?
OTL stands for Office of Technology Licensing. Office of Commercialization at Georgia Tech has 4 units. OTL, standing for Office of Technology Licensing, responsible for licensing Georgia Tech assets to external potential licensees, like a huge corporates, for example. And the second one is called Quadrant I, that supports Georgia Tech faculty startups. There are several faculties members who are doing top-notch technological advancements and innovations. And so they're interested in seeing their technology being commercialized. And so Quadrant I, we have a set of 6 principals currently supporting, participating, and helping faculty members to commercialize their technologies. The third one is CreateX, which is more focused towards student startups. Technically, you have this OTL, then CreateX, Quadrant I, and then the Venture Lab, which is educating students and faculty in the commercialization landscape. For example, how to do market analysis, how to do customer discovery and validation of these technologies. Those are the 4 major units. And what I'm running is OTL EA program, that stands for Office of Technology Licensing Entrepreneurship Assistants. Think about, traditionally we have graduate research assistants, graduate teaching assistants. Yeah. And similarly, this is started by the Office of Commercialization, a new set of students who would be like, think about scouts, commercialization scouts going around supporting, trying to do, because most of these technologies, think about the quantum of work done, in the commercialization landscape at Georgia Tech. Each year, approximately, this is last 4 years, annual average is about 285 invention disclosure filed,
Wow.
about 80 patents published, about 17 faculty startups created, about 106 student startups created, and about 40, close to 40, assets were licensed. So with just huge, humongous activities that kind of heavily supports the commercialization landscape, we need to do the technological assessment, like technology commercialization assessments of our particularly invention disclosures. You kind of, as soon as the faculty files the invention disclosure, our goal is to, do the thorough assessment on go-to-market strategies, whether that technology has a potential commercialization opportunities, whether it could be licensed. And that can be done by this program. That's what's being done, And the strategy is to have an MBA student paired up with the technology student from the Inventors Lab. So you can see the tag team of business student and a technology student. So how that helps is that the technology students, sometimes they themselves were one of the co-inventors, so they are thorough in the technology. And so they kind of join hands with the MBA students who support the business aspects. So both learn, it's a learning experience. And that's what we do in, OTL Entrepreneurship Assistance Program.
And the technology students, are they typically PhDs like Tiger, or does that vary?
They are grad students.
Okay.
They're like master students or sometimes PhD students. They work. Usually those technology students is nominated by the faculty inventors. Think about, like, we choose about 6 invention disclosures each semester. I did 6 last semester. So we know who are the inventors or who are the faculty inventors. So talk to them and say, hey, can you nominate one of your students to do this very high-level technology commercialization assessment? Because that really helps, because anytime someone files the invention disclosure to the Office of Technology Licensing, there are a couple of important things that we do. One is, whether that particular invention disclosure has a commercialization potential.
Yeah.
Number 2 is that, can it be patented? What is the patentability potential for that particular technology? So ideally, if we have these tag team students of business student and a technology student in a very unbiased manner and do this complete thorough analysis, there are certain methodologies that I learned from the Tiger program, that we employ that to this new program.
Yeah.
So the goal is to harness the in-house, potential to do this assessment rather than, outsourcing, these kind of activities elsewhere. So,
That's great. And just to make sure I'm clear, the difference between the two. So OTL, you're saying students work together with a technical student, an MBA and a technical student, working together to commercialize potentially a technology and do go-to-market strategy and things like that.
Right.
And in Tiger, you're giving students the things that they need to be able to understand how to do that. So the strategies, what does that even mean? And then you can apply what you learn in Tiger in OTL. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So Pascaline, passing it to you. You have participated in both of these programs. Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about why you pursued Tiger, but what about OTL? What about that stood out to you that you felt like would add to your Tiger experience?
Similar reasons why I pursued Tiger. I think when I was looking into Tiger, we did have the opportunity to do the internship with a startup, which is no longer an option. And so I was still looking for that real world experience. And so it was very timely how it all came about. I was still in Tiger, and Simona sent us the email with the opportunity to do the OTL EA. And I was like, oh, this sounds like an opportunity for me to apply what I've learned in Tiger in a more real project. Because in Tiger, we come up with the idea ourselves, and, you know, it's all within like, okay, this is a concept, and we get it all the way up to a certain point. But to actually see technology that somebody's actively creating, whether it's a prototype prototype and be able to apply what we learned in Tiger to assess the commercialization opportunities was like, okay, I can use what I learned in Tiger and apply it and, take it even further. So that's why I reached out to Dr. Paul, and I was like, oh, hey, I'm interested in the project. He had a list of different projects. And immediately I was thinking, okay, so I actually, before I went to CDC, I used to do research. So I understand how researchers often think very technical, very jargony. So I'm looking at this list and half of the things don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But then something caught my eye, and it was like salinity exchange. And I was like, oh, this sounds really cool. Because for me, even if I'm not working on a public health project, I always consider the public health implications of the things that I work on. And so I saw that as a project that technology that could help, increase access to water for a variety of uses. And so for me, that was my connection there. So I was like, okay, I want to work on that project, and now I'm working on it. So that's how that came to be.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. And I love how you saw the opportunity and you said, oh, this makes sense for me. And you're able to apply what you're doing in Tiger. I do want to ask you, is there something specific that when you were working in your OTL project from Tiger that you can just recall applying? Like, oh, this makes sense. I'm going to do a strategy from Tiger and that you applied?
Yeah, we have to do customer discoveries with OTL EA. And, we did that in Tiger. We actually took a whole qualitative kind of research analysis class. And so it was an easy kind of, okay, these are the different segments. These are some potential questions. How are we going to reach out to them? And we also were provided like a framework as well. So it's a matter of combining what we already have from OTL EA and what we know from Tiger, and then creating something that we can use to make sure that the customer discovery process moves seamlessly. But then we also know how to interpret that information and to apply it in a business sense.
And for our listeners that may not know what customer discovery is, can you explain, like, what do you mean by that?
So with customer discovery, the idea is that you really want to get to know the customer that you're trying to sell to, right? It's more than just saying, I want to sell to, for example, I'll use my Tiger project, Gen Z. There's so many people that are Gen Z. They live different lives. They have different priorities. And so when you talk to people, you get a better understanding of their behavior, their psychological, like how they think, why they do what they do. And so with that in mind, then as you're shaping, your project, you can actually have somebody in mind, what we call a persona. So now if I ask you who's your audience, you can tell me who they hang out with, where they hang out. And that's all very important, because as you think about things like marketing, you want to consider, how can I reach that audience? And so as you talk to people, it helps you to better understand who you're trying to reach out to, but also helps you to identify opportunities to even enhance what you're working on. So sometimes people might talk about areas that they want to see improvements in that you may not have even considered as, the person coming up with the idea. And so it really helps you to fill in that gap. And I think those insights are really important, because it's a matter of being able to leverage the secondary research analysis that you did by just, reading articles and other previously created things, and then incorporating the actual customer's insight to create a product or to create a report that reflects what's really happening in that market and how you can leverage that to be successful.
You laid that out so beautifully. And it was hard for me not to smile, because both Dr. Giuliano and Dr. Joseph were looking at you like, she is nailing this. Did she do a good job?
True.
Yes, spot on.
Yeah, you're a product of both of these programs. So, Dr. Giuliano, how does that feel for you to have a student be able to articulate exactly what you want students to get out of Tiger right in front of you? How does that feel?
Can you see me tearing up?
Yeah.
It's terrific. And that is, just incredibly rewarding for students to see what they can do, because Tiger is fundamentally an educational program. Mm-hmm. How do we measure our success? We measure our success in our students and our alumni. And they take the skills they learn in Tiger, just as Pascaline has, just as Paul has, and they learn in Tiger how to do interviews, but they also learn how to do market analysis, industry analysis, technology analysis, IP analysis, strategy analysis. All of those skills are really translatable. And we have Tiger alumni who go to major technology firms like Amazon, Apple, Alphabet, and Microsoft. And, the feedback I get from them is they use the Tiger skills every day. I was just speaking with a Tiger alum who has accepted an offer at Boston Consulting Group. This is just before this podcast. I got a phone call yesterday from another Tiger alumnus who just got a major promotion at Bain, and he said, you know, these are the skills. The Tiger skills are the skills I use every day to go forward. So the Tiger skills are really translatable. What's so rewarding is that Pascaline sees that, you know, while she's still a student, and that's I think just a real tribute to the students who we have in the Tiger program.
That's fascinating. Hopefully, Pascaline and I will be giving you a call too. I would love to do that.
I always answer the phone.
That's great. Now, Pascaline made a great point earlier. You said that the reason why you joined OTL was because there was an opportunity at one point in Tiger to do more of a hands-on learning. I believe that was with the Creative Destruction Lab.
Exactly.
So, Dr. Giuliano, can you talk a little bit more behind what happened to the Creative Destruction Lab, and maybe, you know, how does OTL kind of fill that gap?
So the Creative Destruction Lab, or CDL, was a program that we had as essentially a capstone Tiger course, and students would embed with early stage ventures, all technology innovation ventures. We no longer have the opportunity to do that. Georgia Tech no longer participates in the program. So Paul has stayed in touch with me as an alumnus, and we talked about his move to Venture Lab and Quadrant I and his new responsibilities. And Paul could see the immediate application. So Paul and I have been talking about putting together a course, and we have a new course that we're planning to offer during the fall of 2025, the fall term of 2025, for Tiger students to really replicate the experience that Pascaline has had, except we're going to put that entirely into a course form with all the flexibility, academic credit, and real-world experience. It is a practicum, so students can get practical experience in the really difficult business of technology innovation. So I'm really excited, looking forward at the future. I'm hoping that we're going to be offering this course at least once a year, and I would hope twice a year. Lots of that depends on whether Paul wants to keep working 80-hour weeks.
So let me make sure I understand. A new practicum, like technology commercialization, is this kind of like a merger between Tiger and OTL? Or is it going to be Tiger, OTL, is it going to be called that? Like, can you give a little bit more depth? I'm not sure if you want to speak to that, Dr. Joseph.
Yeah, the idea is that, whatever, as you have just heard from Pascaline, the students learn important aspects of, doing technology commercialization assessment from Tiger program. And then, when the students want to apply that in real-world applications, particularly in deep technologies that's prevailing at Georgia Tech campus, then they can apply that knowledge. And that's where OTL program, comes very handy for them. That's what I found as well. And it's more of a connection I could see. And basically, when I did the Tiger program, I had the opportunity to do assessment of 5 startups. Wow. And I heard great things from the CEOs of those startups, like how impactful that was. So they wanted to, I don't want to mention the name of those startups, but they want to sign up huge contracts. All they would do is they would send a report to these corporates and telling that, hey, see this high-level technology assessment done by MBA students at Scheller. And they get those contracts signed up from these corporates. It was so impactful. So my goal is, why not we try that in-house? Yeah. That's the main part of that idea behind, creating the OTL program. And it's more of the idea also is like more of a scalability and sustainability to create this OTL EA program, mimicking that into a new course called Technology Commercialization Practicum. I could do each semester 6 assessments, for example, or 10 this semester, which is huge this semester. It's very handful. Now, if you think about each year, the invention disclosures that's filed is close to 300. So if you want to do on a large scale, one of the best ways is to incorporate this as a new course or charter this as a new course for credit for the students to use it. And the good part for the students is that they are using the actual, real inventions on campus. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, no, that answers my question. Is there anything else about the course that students should know or maybe just be excited about that's going to be different than doing Tiger individually or doing OTL individually? Is there anything else we should know?
I think it's the course is a terrific way to pick up course credit.
Yeah.
And it's really important to understand how important, how significant technology commercialization is to society, not only Georgia Tech. So this is just a wonderful opportunity as a practicum that takes students out of the classroom and brings them into important labs at Georgia Tech. And as you know, students come here to learn the business of technology innovation, and they find their way to Tiger to do exactly that. And this is just another real-world step where they get to apply their analyses, as Pascaline described. So this is going to be essentially a capstone course for Tiger students, and I think we're going to get a tremendous positive reaction to it based on what you and Pascaline and other students have told us.
I think so too. Now, Pascaline, so you've done Tiger, you've done OTL. Now, how do you plan, or maybe you already are, applying the things that you've learned in the real world? Or like, what's next for you?
In a way, I'm still figuring it out. But I think for me, I think differently now. Like the way that I think about things is a lot more different. So in terms of one of my big next steps, I'm really interested in infrastructure development, technology innovation in West Africa. I'm from Ghana, and so that kind of draws me to that place. And so right now I'm learning more about the landscape there, and I'm really applying those same kind of frameworks that I applied in Tiger and I apply in OTL EA. I'm asking certain questions, even if it's like real estate. I'm asking questions about who is living in that area, what industries, like for example, there's an industrial area that's now coming up in Ghana. So I'm thinking about what are some potential markets that I can tap into if I want to do real estate. Is it renters? Is it, Airbnbs? What is it? And so I apply that even if it's not technology focused. I really believe in the ability of being able to pivot and being able to translate your skills. And so regardless of the topic is not what you traditionally apply something to, you can use that same thinking and those same frameworks into different spaces. But in the short term, I am interested in looking into consulting. I think there's still a lot more that I want to learn about the business landscape and about, how I can leverage my research, evaluation, public health, as well as policy and now business background to really help move technology innovation, both, domestically as well as on an international scale with a focus in West Africa.
That sounds phenomenal. Sounds like a great plan. Yeah. And, I can agree with a lot of things that you said. It's almost like every business becomes like you start dissecting it. Mm-hmm. Like even now I'll read articles, they shouldn't have did that. Like, like I know, but no, truly. Or even like watching commercials, I'll think about, maybe if they would have targeted like this group, like it just becomes a part of your everyday thinking after being in OTL and in Tiger. It is truly a wonderful experience. I think you both have done an amazing job just crafting a curriculum that helps us learn things in real time. Mm-hmm. I guess to kind of just wrap up everything, is there something that you're most looking forward to as far as like with this course? Maybe you, Dr. Giuliano, like what are you hoping students will kind of leave with, if it's anything different?
Really nothing different. I think just better appreciation for the skills that they've developed and an opportunity to develop those skills further. I was once talking with a recruiter shortly after I became executive director of the Tiger program, and she said to me, "Tiger, wow," she said, "Tiger students always have the best stories, and that's why they get hired so quickly." And she was a corporate recruiter who came to Scheller College to recruit MBA students, and that stuck with me. And I think that out of the new course, just based on their excellent experience, Tiger students are going to have more great stories to tell in their interviews to accelerate their careers.
And then any advice that you would give to students who are starting in this next 2025 wave of, curriculum? Any advice of what they can do to best be prepared mentally for this experience?
I think coming to class with an open mind and just an ability and an eagerness to build networks and learn is really all that's necessary. We have students like Paul. Paul earned a Ph.D. before he started his MBA, had a deeply technical background. That's not at all unusual. We have typically several students like that every year coming into the MBA program from technical backgrounds. But we also have MBA students who come in with undergraduate degrees in communications or literature, art history. They're there to learn technology innovation, and they do, and that's also rewarding to see also. So I think just having an open mind, networking, realizing the skills others bring, over investing in building your own skill set are just really critical attitudes and practices.
Great. Pascaline, what advice would you give to students that are considering or are about to start Tiger and or OTL? Like, what would you say to them?
I would say it's definitely what you make it. It's one of those spaces where we are allowed to think outside the box, to try new things. We always get feedback on how to, better, focus and make sure that we're, in the right direction. But it's a space for you to be creative in a way that you may not have had the opportunity to. And I will really emphasize networking. Like, networking is a really big part of it. Right now, where we are in Tiger, we have speakers come to our class, and like I said, I work in public health. I'm interested in consulting, infrastructure development. But people, regardless of their background, have something to teach you. And so whenever people come and they're telling their stories and sharing their experiences, I'm one of those students always asking questions, because I think regardless of what you're doing, the fact that you've done it and you've gotten here tells me that there's something that I can learn from you. So definitely keep an open mind and really make the best of it, because that's really what it's all about.
And then one more follow-up. As an MBA student working with technical and PhD students, any advice there? Because I know that can be, you speak two different languages. Yeah. So what's been your strategy to, bring the two different backgrounds together to make it work?
It's been more so, sometimes we have to sometimes I just give them the space to just explain their technical things. And then I say it back to them in a more straightforward, concise way. Because something we learned in Tiger that I think is instrumental is pitching. Like, we have to pitch in less than 10 minutes. And so you need to be able to get to the point and emphasize the most important parts, and don't just get in the weeds of things. And so I think with technical people, they tend to kind of talk on and on and on. And so from me being the MBA student, I have to work with them to get to the point and make sure that we're highlighting the key aspects of the technology. Because when there is follow-up, we can then get into the details. But so that's really the big part, is working with them to apply more of a business thought and framework to how they're communicating about their technology and why it's beneficial for the audiences that we're focusing on.
Thank you for that. I would have said the exact same thing. Yeah, because I think sometimes as a business student, we're maybe we're too fast. We just want to, point A, point B, point C, point. And then they're like, wait, you just missed this whole area over there. So it is great to have, the ability to bounce off each other.
Mm-hmm. And then can I add to that too? But I feel like at the same time, I think one thing I really love about being able to work with the more technical people is that they also they know their technology inside and out. They know it so well, and so it's it takes the pressure off of you being an MBA student to know everything about the technology, because that's what they do best. And so they also provide that, and then together we can work together to create something that really is a product from both of our contributions. And I think that's the rich experience that Tiger and OTLE provide us. And I think even in industry, there are more and more people recognizing that we can't work in silos. There needs to be better coordination across different sectors, different groups, and different people. And so once you start learning that at Tiger or through Georgia Tech, when you go into your whatever you want to do, you're now better prepared to how to navigate different situations, how to speak a language that you don't speak, but understand it enough to be successful with that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah. And just closing out with you, Dr. Joseph, I guess what I really would like to know from you is, what are you most looking forward to in this joint venture and like the next phase of OTL, since it's a newer program? What are you looking forward to?
One of the biggest advantages of this program is that, and the uniqueness is, doing the assessment much earlier, because, we can inform the inventors about, what is the market size for your technology that you're developing? Who are your competitors? Who are all out there? What is the industry benchmark? Is there any already IP already published? All these things we can tell them in one semester of quickly doing this very high-level commercialization assessment. And that's what is a very unique thing about, because the faculty members, the faculty inventors love this, because, we kind of give them this document that has a very comprehensive report about what customers think about your technology, what could be potential improvements you could make. And so it's helpful to the inventors. And as Pascaline mentioned, one of the biggest advantages is also working with a technology student from the inventors lab, because MBA students, they can bring huge benefit for this whole program by doing business related assessments, but then the technology aspect is equally important as well. And that's what I see as a biggest advantage in this whole program.
Well, I'm super excited to see how the technology commercialization practicum comes to life. And you said fall 2025, right?
Yes.
All right. And thank you so much for joining us on the Intersection Podcast. This was great. Learned a lot about both programs and excited to see what the next steps are. I hope you enjoyed your time here.
Thank you, Analisa.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Intersection Podcast. We invite you to rate and subscribe on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Have a great day.